Unlike the other transformations, move and rotate, you can't make copies directly with the scale tool. However, the scale tool is also a very powerful one, and it allows you to not only resize objects, but reproportion them and actually do some modeling, depending on how we use it. So let's do a little tutorial to understand how scale works. Draw a circle from the origin point and give it a 2-foot radius. Push-pull the circle up, forming a cylinder with a 12-foot height. I'm going to zoom in on that. Triple-click to select everything and press S for scale. So the green handles allow you to scale the object in many different ways. The corner handles default to scale the object uniformly, which means equally in all 3 dimensions. It scales the object about the opposite corner down here. So if I grab this corner, I'm going to be making it smaller towards that opposite corner. If I grab it from over here, it's going to go towards the other side. Notice that the box kind of jumps when it gets to a scale of 0.5, and again at 1. If you grab a handle which is in the middle of a face, you can scale in 1 dimension only. So I can just make the cylinder taller or shorter. If I grab it from this handle, I'll be distorting the form and making it an elliptical cross-section. Down here it says red scale, 1.5. I can change that number by typing in something and pressing enter. If you grab a handle over here, you can scale in 2 dimensions. So I have 2 numbers to deal with, and they're separated by a comma. So I can type in 0.5, comma 3 to make a certain type of ellipse. You can even access 3 degrees of freedom by holding down the Shift key on a corner point. Notice the tooltip changed from uniform to red, green, blue scale. Now I can scale in 3 dimensions at once. The measurements toolbar has 3 different numbers and they're separated by commas. The Option key changes the way the handles scale. Normally the handles work about the opposite point. If you hold down Option, it scales about the center, so you can keep your object centered on the axis. If I wanted to make this a larger column, but maintain a circular cross-section, I could use one of these side handles, hold down the Option key so that it stays centered on the blue axis, drag it out, and then type in equal values in red and green. I can type 2, 2 to scale it up evenly in those 2 dimensions. You can actually use the scale tool to scale parts of objects. So for example, I'll select this top circle and press S. We only get 1 set of handles. Now I'll scale it down about the center point by holding the Option key down. And I can therefore taper the cylinder, making it a truncated cone. Scale can also be used to mirror objects. For example, let me zoom out to get some more room on the screen. I'll select this entire object and press S for scale. I can flip it over by dragging this handle all the way down through to the other side until I get a scale of -1. Now we have a mirror image of the object. However, what if I wanted a copy instead of just the mirror image of the original? We can't use the Option key to indicate a copy like we can with the Move and Rotate tools, because Option performs a different function in the Scale tool, that is, to scale about the center point. Let me undo and go back here. So the key to creating a mirror is to first move the object and make a copy of it by using the Option key. Then use the Scale tool and drag it down through a scale of -1. Then use the Move tool again to move the object up so that it matches up with your original object. Another approach is to flip an object along an axis. I'm going to undo a couple of steps so we have 2 copies of the object. Then I'll select this copy, right-click, and choose Flip Along Blue Direction. Essentially, that's like scaling the object with a -1 multiplier. There's a third way to mirror objects, and that's with a Ruby script that allows you to draw the mirror plane like you might in AutoCAD. I'll just demonstrate that. And we need to have a line here representing the axis that we're going to be flipping this along. And then I'll select the object and choose Mirror Selection. This is written by TIG. I'll click this midpoint to be the first part of my mirror line, and then I'll click this point along the red axis to determine this plane. Then I'll press return, and I have the option whether I want to erase the original selection, yes or no. I'll say no, and so effectively we left the copy behind.